Name is Ike Johnstone. Right now we're at the Bill Pickett Riding Academy, located on West River Drive in Montgomery, Fairmount Park, Philadelphia. Belmont Stable was built to be a police stable back in the 30s. Matter of fact, 1936. It was to house the Fairmount Park guards, mounted guards, and they moved out of here about 1930. And we moved in. The building was practically vacant during that period of time between 1970. I moved in 96. We moved in here to start a youth program to give back to Temple, the Temple community. Right. Not just Temple itself, but the community, because I spent my adult life in that area. But we started this program along with Mr. White, who was the vice president at Temple at the time, and Mr. Bergman. So the three of us started this program in 1996, I think it was. When we bring, say, like a young kid in here, 7 or 8 years old, that's never been around a horse, just seen them on TV, they're terrified. Horses, because they're intimidating, you know what I'm saying? But then, once we start to working with them, you know, we get them to the point where they'll lead this big animal. Can you imagine what that does to one? You know, 2 days ago they was terrified. Now they're leading this big, huge animal, you know, just with his fingertips. And it also teaches that you can get things, except young people, you can get things out of life without taking them. See, you ain't gonna take nothing from a horse. You know, you're not going to hold pulling. They measure stuff in horsepower. You know what I'm saying? So you have to cooperate with this horse to get this horse to cooperate with you. So it teaches cooperation. You know, they don't care nothing about you being a corner boy, anything else. You know what I'm saying? You want to respect me. That's what that horse is saying. Because if you don't, I can take you out of here. Just that quick. So it teaches that. You know, it teaches you can get things done without taking them. We teach that there's love and strength, and that's what the horses are. There's love and strength. These are powerful animals. And you just treat them with kindness, they'll give it back to you. My first experience with a horse when we were young, I think I was about 6 or 7, and I'm from the Harrisburg area. A guy used to come around with a pony, you know, and go around the neighborhood taking pictures, right? So while he was out in the neighborhood taking pictures, he used to park his trailer near our house. So I used to go peep in the trailer. And I was so fascinated saying to myself, a horse used to be in there, you know, right on down to building a stall next to my house, you know, and didn't even have a horse, you know. So I think like with most kids though, we're all fascinated about horses, and that was mine. And then when I had a chance to go away to school at Arizona State, on the weekends we used to go riding, you know, and I think that's what started it. Getting involved with it with my kids, you know, my wife we was all sitting around the table talking about what could we do with our kids as a family. So my wife said, she always liked horses. Well, I always had this little thing for horses, so I went out and bought one. You know, and it was one of the best purchases I ever made. You know, it brought us closer together, and like I said, the time we spent with that horse, and I'm sure it had a lot to do with my kids' self-confidence, built up their whole self-esteem and all that thing. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact they all got their degrees, you know, and not only got them, they're 4.0.
Now,
so,
speaking of self-confidence about your kids, how do you feel, maybe we could talk a little bit about, have you seen any of the younger kids that come to the Bill Pickett Riding Academy, have you seen any of them really be affected by riding horses, or I guess have you seen any transformations of young people other than your kids getting to come here?
Yeah, there's one young man that comes to mind. He came here. His name is Muhammad. He would live here if I would let him. You know, he came here, and you know you couldn't understand what he was saying. He mumbled. You know, you could very, you know. And he's been here about 6 months now, and you can see the gradual change. I can understand what he's saying now. He sticks his chest out when he does things, because kids that came through after him, he's like showing them what to do. So it gets that little peer thing. He walks around now with his chest out and whatnot, and they look up to him, you know, and then, so he's the one that come to mind.